What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Johnny K Picks. And in this video, I'm going to go over all my bets so far for UFC Austin, Kattar versus Emmett. Before I get started, please hit that like button, make friends with that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on any of my new videos or live streams. So yeah, UFC 275 was last weekend, and although it was a very entertaining card, my bets did not do well whatsoever. I ended up going 3-7 on my bets, and I ended up losing minus 4.54 units. So the biggest misses for me was Liang and the Yuri Glover fight going over 2.5 rounds. So I'm not saying Liang is the next up-and-coming contender ready to fight for the championship belt by any means, but I did think she had a very clear path to victory, and that was to get the fight to the mat, but she was very sloppy trying to get those takedowns, and she was very aggressive as well, and Gomez Juarez took advantage of that and knocked her out, flatlined her, and took her to the Shadow Realm. So I'll give Juarez credit for that one, but Liang did not impress whatsoever. And with the Yuri Glover fight going over 2.5 rounds, if you would ask anybody last week, this fight wasn't going to go past the third round. Like, I didn't see anybody saying that this fight would go to decision or even in the fourth round, especially a Yuri submission in the fifth. So, like I said, you can't win them all. It was a great fight, great night for fights, but we're going to jump back into this. We're going to get back on track at UFC Austin. So without further ado, let's jump right into my bets. So the first bet I have is an underdog bet. I bet 1 unit on Buckley to win, and I got that at plus 175. So I can see Buckley being the underdog in this fight, but I don't think he should be this big of an underdog. So he's going to be the more athletic guy. I think he's going to have the better striking and more power on the feet. He also does have decent wrestling, but Duraev's going to be the better wrestler, and Buckley's going to have to stuff those takedowns early because he's definitely going to have the advantage on the feet, and that's where I think he's going to want to keep this fight. A little red flag for me with Duraev is he's very hittable, and he has been rocked a few times in his last couple fights. And not to mention, in Duraev's 3 losses, he's been knocked out in all 3 of them. So his striking defense is kind of suspect, and I do think Buckley has enough power to catch him at some point in this fight. Or if he does keep this fight standing, I do think he'll be able to outstrike him for at least 2 rounds and maybe win a close decision. The next bet I have is a 2-fighter parlay. I bet 1 unit on McGee and Jasudavicius to win, and I got that at plus 178. So with McGee, he's a grinder, and he's tough as hell. He's definitely one of those guys that if he's an underdog, he will fight for all 3 rounds and never give up. And I know Wells is very dangerous, especially early in the first round, but he does tend to slow down as the fight goes on. And for me, McGee has really good cardio. He's really tough, like I said. He has the experience. And as long as he can survive that first round, I do think he'll be able to take over in rounds 2 and 3 and probably win a decision and maybe even get a late round finish. And with Jasudavicius, I think she's going to be the better striker. Silva is making her UFC debut, and she's more of a grappler submission artist, but she does have decent striking. The problem is for me is Jasmine's going to be way bigger than Silva. And she has really good takedown defense, along with good takedowns and submission defense. And if you remember Jasmine's last fight against Kay Hansen, she was basically on top for most of that fight. And Hansen was trying to work from her back and trying to get submissions, but Jasmine was defending all of those really well. She was controlling her on top. She was doing ground and pound. So I do see this fight kind of playing out the same way, but if it does play out on the feet, I do like Jasmine as well. She's going to be the taller fighter, the longer fighter, and I think she's going to have more power as well. The third bet I have is another 2-fighter parlay. So this is going to be my gut parlay of the week, but I'm going to go with Rodriguez and Ismagulov to win, and I got that at plus 140. So I know both of these fights are probably going to play out really close. But I do think the guys that I bet on, I think they're just a little bit better than their opponents right now. With Rodriguez, I think him and Marquez have kind of similar styles. They're both power punchers. They both got good submissions and grappling. But like I said, I just think Rodriguez has the better striking, the more power in his hands. And if this fight does go to the mat, I think he has the better wrestling and grappling. I don't think there's going to be a finish in this fight unless it's some kind of club and sub. So it's going to be a close decision, but I do think Rodriguez will be able to land the cleaner strikes and win by decision. And with Demir, again, this is going to be another close fight, but I do think he has the better striking in this matchup. On the mat, it will be close. They both have really good wrestling, but it's hard to back someone that hasn't fought in a year and a half and is coming off an injury. So I do think Demir is going to look a little bit better than Guram, and this probably will go to decision, but I think he'll edge it out 29-28. And the next bet, yep, another 2-fighter parlay. I bet 1.5 units on Haws and Dawkis to win, and I got that at plus 106. So with Haws, he's going to have the massive height and reach advantage in this matchup. And not to mention, he's going to be the better overall fighter. Wynn is a good wrestler, but he doesn't have really good striking. And the only little red flag for me with Haws is his chin is a little suspect now. So if Wynn can land a clean shot on him, I don't know if he'll go down or not. But like I said, Haws should be able to keep his range with that 7-inch reach and height advantage. So I don't think Wynn's going to be able to get a knockout by any means. But I can see Haws knocking out Wynn, but I think this will be a close fight. It might get on the mat here and there, so I think Haws will win this one by decision. And with Dawkis, I know Delice has really good grappling, but I really like Dawkis's grappling as well. And the reason why I picked Dawkis here is because Delice's takedown defense is awful at 37%. So for me, if this fight stays standing, I think Dawkis is the more technical striker. He might not have as much power as Delice, but I like his striking. And if Dawkis does want to go to the mat, I think he'll be able to take down Delice and keep him on his back. And don't forget, Delice does have questionable fight IQ, and he does slow down after the first round. So I like Dawkis here a lot. I did say Dawkis could win by a 3rd round submission, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a decision either. And my last bet is, yes, another 2-fighter parlay. I bet 1.5 units on Holland and Kattar, and I got that at plus 106 as well. So with Holland, I know in a lot of his fights, he makes it look a lot closer than it probably should. You really can't overlook his reach advantage in pretty much every one of his fights. And I know he might not make it look pretty in some of his wins, but he does get the win, he gets the knockout, and I do think he'll end up getting the knockout here. The only way Means has a chance to win this one is if he wrestles Holland down, but Holland's been working on his wrestling and grappling, so we'll see how much he's transformed that part of his game, but I do think Holland will eventually catch Means and get the knockout, maybe in the 2nd round. And with Kattar, this is going to be a good fight, but I just don't think Emmett can land that knockout shot against Kattar. And not to mention, Kattar is tough as hell as well. He absorbed 450 strikes against Max Holloway, so that is impressive enough for me. And another thing too is if this fight does go past 3 rounds, I don't see how Emmett can hang with Kattar because he does push the pace and always stays in front of his opponents. And I just don't think Emmett's cardio will be able to go all 5 rounds. So for me, I think Kattar will win this one by decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does get that late 4th or 5th round knockout. But alright guys, those are my bets so far for UFC Austin. Thank you everybody for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Also, don't forget to check back on this video in the comment section for any added bets, or you can check back on my Instagram. Good luck to everybody who's betting this weekend, and until next time, happy fighting.